Blindspot Season 3, Episode 3, Upside Down Craft. This was definitely a great episode. Any episode with Rich is definitely going to be a funny episode, but this one was really cool because we get the answer of what was going on with Patterson and Rich.com. And I was super happy because I thought for sure, like with pretty much any series, whenever it's like, oh, there's all these secrets that the team has, I always expect that stuff to come in like way, way down the line. I wasn't thinking, oh man, episode 3 we're gonna get an answer to what was going on there. So I was super happy to see that that was revealed. It was just like what they did with Jane, with her like her secrets being revealed, her going on some of these missions and her having like all this money and stuff. It was like, okay, that was, that was, I feel, a bit smaller compared to what Rich and Patterson were doing. But it's like, okay, just these little reveals are cool to have pop up so early on. So I really appreciated that this entire episode was devoted to, here's the secret that this part of the team has. And of course that's like the point of this season, with Roman kind of pushing out everybody, incorporating everybody's secrets into these new sets of tattoos. But I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed the episode, and them having to like work together and try to lie to the team and like get advancements. And then we find out that what Patterson was doing was definitely illegal, because I was like, okay, it could be the fact that they were working together. I figured it was illegal because it was like them hiding it, but I was like, maybe it's possible that they were just hanging out, and it was like, no, we never saw each other, nothing happened between us. And it was like, okay, maybe it's something illegal, maybe it's not, maybe they could have had an actual relationship. I didn't think that, but I was like, maybe it is just, I don't want people talking about us having been together or anything like that. And then they talk about it. I was like, nope, it was just the actual legal stuff that I thought it was with them. They're doing like hacktivist stuff, so it was like illegal stuff for the right reasons, but still very, very illegal stuff, hacking into stuff, technically saving economies, but hacking the stock markets, things like that. Very, very illegal things. And so they're dealing with this case, and naturally they capture this guy, and it's like, okay, well, it turns out that this group called the Three Blind Mice are the reason that these fake emails were planted. So you falsely arrested this guy and everything, and it's like, oh, we're two of the Three Blind Mice, which means that the last person has to be the one that's kind of doing this. So of course they end up capturing this woman, Clara, and I knew something was going to go wrong, because when they were doing the interrogation and Rich did exactly what he did, where he was like, oh, well, did you do this, this, and this? And he was exactly right. I was like, maybe pull it back a little. Don't be knowing exactly how to do everything that she can do, because that might reveal certain secrets. And then, of course, when they keep going in that conversation about basically like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, that sort of thing, doing bad things, Patterson says like opposite is still bad. And it was just like, well, those are like the two key things. And I didn't think of that when she said that as that being very specific, but it definitely was. Mostly because we'd never heard her say that before. But, well, we may have. I've never noticed it. I don't think she ever said that before, but it would be interesting to go back, and it's actually in one of the old episodes. But, when they get captured later in the episode, the first thing that Clara says is like, Rich, you knew exactly what I did. And I was like, yep, totally got him busted. Like, I knew him being so spot on with what she did let her know, like, this might be who I was working with. Like, only like the top tier sort of hackers could know that sort of program or know exactly what I did. And it was like, you did that. And then, she doesn't say Patterson's first name, which I thought was hilarious in this episode, where that's how they found out they were kidnapped, because Patterson's first name was on the text. But it's like, Patterson, like, you said, saying opposite, like, who, you said that all the time in our text, and that's such a specific thing to say. And I was like, wow, they both screwed up, being in there, like, because they were just being themselves, and they didn't think about the fact that them being themselves is exactly what would let her know who they were, because she had no idea who these people were. She'd never seen them before. She didn't really know their names. And then they were just themselves. And that's how they got busted, because that's how much time they spent together being hackers. So it was actually really cool kind of going throughout the episode while they're trying to hide everything, and then ultimately she realizes that it was the two of them, so she tricks them and then takes them out with the beanbag shotgun, and then puts the collars on them. And it's like, she was insane too. She was like, we're friends, like, I'm so happy that we're back together, like, they captured you guys and basically like brainwashed you, but I'm here to rescue you now, and we can get back to hacking. And then it went beyond their normal hacktivist stuff, where it's like, oh, we're doing bad things but for the right reasons. This was like, nope, I want full-on revenge now, because the guy that you went after he's a crappy person. He got a ton of people killed, and one of those people ended up being my brother, which is why she was so devoted to kind of switching, kind of changing routes, which is exactly why Patterson wanted to ditch out on her in the first place, because she was like, I thought it was like getting a little too heavy. And then when she, chains him up and, puts electric collars on him, that ends up being exactly what happened. Like, she found that person that will lead her beyond just doing the wrong thing for the right reasons, and doing the wrong thing solely for revenge, and taking this person down, but also anyone who was around at the time. Like, taking down the plane would have killed multiple people. It wouldn't have just killed that guy. It would have killed his wife and possibly the multiple pilots that were on that plane. So, there's, for her it was just like, casualties, no big deal. So it definitely started to shift for her, and then naturally the team is, they're all hanging out together and everything. It's like, oh, that's when the first name deal comes up. So they rescue the team, the team ends up rescuing Patterson and Rich, and then we get to like the other half of the story, which basically involves what Patterson had to go through in the last episode, which was finding the guy's body. And it's like, I went through and figured out, a little bit of what was going on with that tattoo, but now we need to find out what in the world is going on with this Van Gogh painting. And the reason it's important is because the person that I guess they're going to have to be going for now has one ear, kind of like Van Gogh. So that's why that painting was like a clue. But it was so crazy. It's like this random dude who has one ear, he tells the woman who's in control of having all these recordings that she needs to edit it. So they know that it's been edited, and now they go into like the whole Van Gogh painting, where it's like, I think it was like 6 or 8 people owned this painting. And it was like, all right, well, what does a one-eared painter have to do with this murder and whatever like the grand actual case is? It's like, well, that's where I'm stuck. And so the clue is that the person they're looking for has one ear, of course, and who knows what in the world he's going for. And clearly he killed for it already, so there's some stuff that's definitely important. And naturally, if it's involved in the tattoos, it's always some catastrophic thing, so that's no real surprise. But I like the way that played out, and the way they did it with him showing up at the end made it seem like he's going to be fairly important this season. It could just be like the next episode, so it could just be like a minor thing. But the way they kind of did it, where it was like, this was a case that started with, it was just being like hinted at, and then the person searching it got murdered, and then half this episode is devoted to getting the recordings, and then finding out that the recordings have been edited. That's a big deal. Like, to have that sort of overarching story, even over just 2 episodes, that makes it, more important than just, oh, it was mentioned here and then it's solved in the next episode. It started with a death, and then that's what kicked it up to become half of the entire episode this week, and then, or I guess technically last week, and now this week's episode, I assume is going to go a little bit further into what's going on with it. I think it'll still be like the side story, but eventually I feel like that'll build up. So that could be our overarching story. This could be like the new main villain, because I was wondering if it was just going to be Roman or if they were going to introduce someone. And I feel like it could lead to, with how this has played out so far, I feel like it's kind of leading towards this guy with one ear being the second like main villain, or the secondary villain, I guess, of this season. The villain that's gonna die, because I feel like Roman's just gonna keep going as like the nemesis character, but I feel like this guy will come in and he'll be like our new secondary villain, or maybe even the main villain, so that way he can be killed off and Roman kind of just keeps going until they decide to end the series. But I thought that was a great way to end it. Who knows what it means, because at this point it's just like, oh, the clue is that the person has one ear, but we don't know what he's doing. Like, that's the big thing. Is like, we don't know what his plan is, how catastrophic it's going to be, if it involves yet another super secret organization like Sandstorm. We don't really know all the clues just yet. But I'm certainly looking forward to where that's headed, because I feel like they've made it very relevant with it appearing in 2 episodes, and it, like I said, it was just hints, and then last episode ended with a murder. This episode, excuse me, this episode, it kind of continues onward, and then we find out that the recordings were hacked, or at least edited, and this guy was responsible for that by forcing the woman to do it. So there's something important that was kept hidden. And, they probably asked the guy, I wish I could remember his name now because he's dead, but I'm sure he asked them, if it was him, the guy with one ear was the one that was doing the murder, I'm sure he asked them some specific questions, like, what exactly do you know about this, or what did you find out about this? Because considering who was looking into it, he probably found out some stuff that this guy didn't even know yet. So he probably got some extra answers before he actually killed him off. And of course, all that has to be erased, which is why the audio was edited. But I don't know. It's very interesting that that's kind of how the episode ended. So maybe the next episode will be the conclusion of that tattoo, even if it is only half the story. But I don't know. I feel like this could lead to something bigger. Granted, everything is catastrophic, so like I said, you never know how important one person is really going to be as far as like Blindspot goes. You never know which characters are going to end up like sticking around as villains or just, boom, it's solved and they're dead or imprisoned or whatever. So if he doesn't end up dying, I'm sure he'll find some way to escape and he'll come back next season or something like that. But it's a unique look for a character, without a doubt, having the one ear. And I feel like that's just a unique little thing to have for, your main villain. He has one ear and, the clue about the Van Gogh stuff. So I feel like he could certainly become an important villain for the rest of the season, or at least a big chunk of it. And then, as Roman's doing his thing in the background, we deal with this new guy. And then once they deal with the new guy, Roman will kind of come back into the fold with whatever he planned on doing with all that money he stole from the guy. So I really like the way they ended the episode. All in all, it was definitely good. Of course, the team itself has realized that the tattoos are involving them and the secrets that they have, because Reade goes through at the end of the episode where he brings everybody in. It was like, here's kind of my theory on everything that's happened. So we have the 3 blind mice. We have our, current imprisoned Clara. And she was one of 3 people. The other 2 left. That would probably upset her. And then if she happened to find out that these people who used to do all these illegal activities with her are now working for the FBI, that would probably make her really, really angry. And then when she finds out who these people are, that might lead her to kidnap them and probably try to force them to do illegal things again. But, it's a good thing I don't have any proof, because if I did, we would have to persecute those people to the full extent of the law. So the team is kind of like, all right, we now know what's going on, because it already happened with Jane, with them revealing that she was doing other missions. And of course, they can't prove it, but naturally they know that it was Patterson and Rich that were a part of the 3 blind mice and doing these illegal things during this gap where everybody was separated. So it's like, all right, we are now officially targets, and our secrets are going to get revealed through some of these cases. But why? Like, why is that so relevant to Roman? And then, of course, who's next is the big question. Because, of course, I feel like Zapata's secret, so either Zapata or Weller's have to be the biggest secrets, because whatever Weller, if it's something that Weller was doing on his own, in between, like him looking for Jane and everything, for that to actually be utilized against him by Roman, it has to be really dramatic. And then on Zapata's side, it's her hiding something because the CIA wants her to hide it. So it's like, all right, that's CIA versus FBI again. Her now being a part of the CIA while working on the team with the FBI. That will be a huge deal. So those 2, I would assume, are like the biggest secrets. And we'll find out what happens if there's like some super secret that we have no idea about for Reade just yet. I don't think there's anything that they hinted at in the first episode, but maybe there's something. Who knows? But I definitely like the fact that the team realizes now, like, our secrets are going to kind of be put out there, and Roman's going to try to basically tear us apart a little bit. So I'm definitely looking forward to how they're going to try to cope with that now that they know that they're being targeted. But that doesn't change the severity of their secrets at this point. It's not, because they totally could have been like, you know what, since this is going to happen soon, I'll just tell you guys now. Like, Waller didn't do that, and neither did Zapata. So their secrets, even though they know that they could get revealed in the future, they're still that big to be like, all right, I'm still going to try to hide it for as long as I possibly can. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to play out for the team, and, whose secret does get revealed next and what it's going to be. But all in all, definitely an entertaining episode, and I am excited for whatever we're going to get from this new villain, which, like I said, my theory is that he's going to be, fairly important, but I could totally be wrong about that. But either way, I'm excited to see, how he's involved in whatever random disaster is going to end up popping up in the next episode, or whenever they officially bring that guy back. But definitely a fun episode, of course. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know your theories on this mystery guy. Like, what do you think will be his relevance to the season? Because it could either be minor or it could be major. And like I said, because of the fact that this story has technically built up over 2 episodes just for it to end with finally revealing who's behind it, I feel like that shows how important this is going to be. Because it's some grand secret that started really simple. It would, if it was anything else, it would just be another case. but because it led to one specific individual and not like a company or like, you know, like this guy who did some illegal stuff to get some more money, it seems like it's going to be a bit more advanced than that. So I think it's going to have a fairly decent impact on the rest of the season. And like I said, I honestly think this guy will be basically like the villain that gets killed off by the end of the season. I don't think it's going to be Roman. That would be interesting, and I hope that doesn't happen, but that would be kind of a shock to me at least if they actually kill Roman by the end of this season. But I think this guy will give them like that second villain to continue to go after. When Roman's doing his thing in the background, we'll have this guy, and then they'll switch back and forth throughout the season while also having the team deal with, you know, the random cases in the middle. So I think that's just a great way to do it, and I personally feel like that's where they're headed with this character. But I would love to know your theories on how important you think he's going to be. It could literally be any disaster, so if you have a random theory, maybe you've like read some stuff and you know what he's going to be involved in, you can share that as well. Just, I guess, put a spoiler tag for that just in case, for some people who may not want to know anything about it. But we'd love to know your thoughts on that, and of course, what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.